Welcome back to Wisdom Unveiled. Last week, we started digging into Saadi, and well, this week we're going even deeper.
Deeper into Saadi.
Yeah. And just a quick reminder, we're all about finding those hidden gems of wisdom in complex sources.
Yeah.
And today we're tuning into these conversations between Iranian philosophy experts, and they're talking about Saadi.
Right.
And just a quick note to everyone listening, what you're hearing is a translation, so we might miss a few little things here and there, but we're going to do our best to give you the main idea of what they're saying.
It's really interesting to hear these scholars kind of break down his work, especially when you're looking at something as simple as a poem about spring.
Saadi and spring.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds pretty delightful. Remind me what we know about Saadi again.
Sure. So Saadi was a 13th century Persian poet.
Okay.
And he's famous for this book called Gulistan,
Willistan.
which means the rose garden.
Okay.
And his work is just full of these beautiful, blends of profound insights and observations about everyday life.
Okay, so we've got a poet known for his wisdom.
Yes.
Writing about spring.
Right.
I mean, I'm already feeling more zen.
Right.
But you said there's more to it than just pretty flowers.
Much more.
Wow.
Yeah. In one poem, Saadi describes spring as a lover preparing for a date. Trees are blossoming, and even the wind is intoxicated by all the beauty.
Intoxicated wind. Okay, that's
Yeah.
a wild image. Is he talking about a literal drunken breeze here?
No, not quite.
Okay,
Remember, Persian poetry is full of symbolism.
right.
And so here, the intoxicated wind is really a metaphor for that, overwhelming joy and wonder that we feel
Right.
when we experience true beauty.
I get it. Like when you see an amazing sunset or you hear a piece of music that just totally moves you.
Yes.
You kind of lose yourself in the moment.
Exactly. And that's what Saadi is getting at, this feeling of transcendence,
Okay.
of connecting to something larger than ourselves. And for him, that experience can be profoundly spiritual.
So it's not just about, enjoying a nice spring day. Saadi's using spring as a symbol for something much deeper.
Right.
What is it exactly?
Renewal.
Renewal.
He's talking about that constant cycle of death and rebirth that we see in nature.
Right.
But he's also suggesting that this same cycle is happening within us all the time.
So every moment has the potential for this kind of renewal.
Yes.
But then why write a poem about spring specifically?
Well, think of spring as a reminder.
Okay.
It's tangible. It's something we can all see and feel.
Right.
For someone deeply spiritual, maybe every moment feels like spring. But for most of us, we need that nudge,
Right.
that reminder to see the world with fresh eyes.
Yeah, it's like spring's like a wake-up call.
Yes.
Reminding us that even though things change and die, there's always new life waiting to emerge.
That's a great way to put it. And the experts we're listening to suggest that Saadi isn't just talking about external renewal here.
Right.
He's also hinting at this idea of an inner spring.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
What is inner spring? Is this like some kind of spiritual detox?
It's more about cultivating the sense of youthful wonder and curiosity, no matter how old you are. That feeling you had as a kid of being amazed by the world.
Yeah.
Saadi seems to be saying we don't have to lose that.
So it's less about our physical age and more about how young our spirit feels.
Exactly. And he doesn't just talk about it abstractly.
Okay.
There's a great story in Gulistan that really brings this idea to life.
Okay.
It involves a young Saadi piety
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a bit too much judgment.
Ooh, I love a good story. Tell me more.
So in this story, young Saadi is judging people who sleep through morning prayers.
Okay.
He thinks he's better than them because he's so devout,
Right.
but his father, a wise old man, sets him straight.
I feel like we've all been that judgmental person at some point.
Right.
What does Saadi's father say to him?
He basically says, hey, it's better to sleep than to gossip about people. Your prayers don't make you better than them.
Right.
It's a powerful lesson in humility.
Yeah. It's a good reminder that true piety isn't about outward appearances.
Yes.
It's about compassion and recognizing that we're all on our own journeys.
Right.
Which makes me think, how does this story connect back to inner spring?
Because it shows that even young Saadi was wrestling with these big questions about himself and the world.
Right.
And his father, with his gentle wisdom, encourages a more open and compassionate perspective,
Yeah.
the kind of perspective that allows for inner spring to flourish.
So it's not enough to just, go through the motions of religion or spirituality.
Yeah.
We have to cultivate that inner openness and curiosity, that sense of wonder that allows us to see the world and ourselves with fresh eyes.
Exactly. And that brings us back to Saadi's poem.
Okay.
He's challenging us to see the world the way he sees spring.
Yeah.
To appreciate the beauty and renewal that's happening all around us all the time.
Okay, but how do we actually do that?
Right?
I mean, it's easy to appreciate the beauty of a flower or a sunset, but how do we see that same beauty in, like, everything?
Well, Saadi gives us a clue in that same poem about spring.
Okay.
He talks about the companion of our gathering
Okay.
being adorned with embellishments.
Those embellishments sound intriguing. What are they exactly?
The experts suggest they represent the ever-changing nature of the universe. The fact that every single moment is unique.
So it's not just about seeing beauty in springtime.
No.
It's about recognizing that beauty is unfolding constantly.
Yeah.
If we just pay attention.
That's it. And paying attention in this way, really being present, is where the heart comes in.
Okay.
And where Saadi's ideas get really interesting.
The heart. Okay, I'm intrigued. We're talking about more than just emotions, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
For Saadi and many in Islamic tradition, the heart is much more than just the organ that pumps blood.
Yeah.
And he actually refers to it as the throne of God.
Whoa, the throne of God. That's a pretty powerful image.
It is, and you don't have to be religious to understand what he means.
So then what does it mean if you're not coming at it from a religious perspective?
Think about it this way. What do we associate with the heart?
Okay.
Love, compassion, intuition, our deepest selves.
Right.
That inner space is what Saadi seems to be talking about.
Yeah.
A sacred place within each of us where we can connect to something bigger than ourselves.
It's like he's saying that we each carry a universe within us.
Yes.
And the heart is the portal to that universe.
Beautifully put. And Saadi suggests that by cultivating this inner space, we can tap into that source of renewal and beauty that he associates with spring.
How do we actually do that?
Right.
It's one thing to say the heart is important.
Yes.
It's another to actually experience this connection.
That's where the rubber meets the road, right?
Yeah.
And according to Saadi, it all starts with gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yes.
As in just being thankful for what we have. That's it.
It sounds simple, but it's incredibly powerful.
Okay.
When we focus on what we're grateful for, it shifts our perspective from lack to abundance.
Yeah.
It opens our hearts.
Okay. I can see how that might work.
Yeah.
But what was Saadi grateful for? Was he talking about big life-changing things?
Actually, he focused on appreciating the small things.
Okay.
A cup of tea, a sunny day, a conversation with a friend.
Right.
It's about finding those moments of joy that are hidden in plain sight.
It's like Saadi saying, hey, slow down, pay attention, and be thankful for the little things. That's where the real magic is.
You got it. And when we cultivate this sense of gratitude, it naturally opens our hearts, making space for love, compassion, and connection to flourish.
And that is the throne of God that Saadi was talking about. Not a literal throne, but that state of being.
That's the inner spring. He's pointing us toward a state of openness, joy, and connection that's available to all of us.
This is incredible. We've gone from a simple poem about spring to this profound exploration of the human heart and our connection to something bigger than ourselves. And it seems like we've only just scratched the surface of Saadi's wisdom.
Oh, there's so much more to uncover.
Yeah.
We haven't even touched on his ideas about freedom, detachment, and the importance of humility.
Don't worry, listeners. We'll be back soon to explore those ideas and to dive even deeper into Saadi's world.
Last time we were talking about inner spring and
Yeah.
this idea of the heart as the throne of God. I don't know about you, but it's a lot to wrap my head around.
It is, and it kind of leads right into another big theme in Saadi's work.
Okay.
Freedom.
Freedom.
But his take on freedom is a bit unexpected.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Everyone wants freedom, but what did it mean to a 13th century Persian poet?
Well, the experts we're listening to focus on this passage where Saadi describes a tall, solitary tree
Okay.
that doesn't bear fruit.
Hmm.
And someone asks the tree, "You're so magnificent, but you don't produce anything. What's the point?"
A talking tree. Okay, I'm loving this all right. What does the tree say?
The tree replies, "I am empty of fruit because I am free. Those who are truly free need nothing."
Whoa. So freedom is about emptiness. That's not exactly what comes to mind when I think about being free.
It's definitely a paradox.
Yeah.
But remember, Saadi's a master of metaphor.
Right. He's not talking about being literally penniless.
No.
He's talking about freedom from attachment.
So it's more about an internal state of being than having a lot of external stuff.
Exactly. True freedom for Saadi comes from recognizing that everything is temporary. Our possessions, our desires, even our identities.
Right.
It's about not being chained to those things.
It makes me think of that saying, you can't take it with you. In the end, what really matters isn't the stuff we accumulate.
Precisely. Saadi seems to be saying that real wealth lies in this inner freedom, in being unburdened by attachments to things that ultimately don't matter.
That sounds a lot like those minimalist folks who are all about downsizing and living with less.
There are definitely parallels.
Yeah.
But Saadi takes it a step further.
Okay.
He's not just talking about minimizing our possessions. It's about minimizing our attachment to everything.
Everything.
Desires, fears, even our ego.
Easier said than done.
Right.
We're practically programmed to want things to strive for more.
Yes.
How do we even begin to loosen that grip?
Saadi doesn't sugarcoat it.
Okay.
In another passage, he compares letting go to a ship caught in a violent storm.
Oh, this sounds intense.
To survive, the captain has to throw the cargo overboard, even if it's valuable.
Wow.
It's the only way to lighten the load and avoid sinking.
So sometimes we have to make tough choices, let go of things we might value in order to find that true freedom.
Yes, and the experts were listening to connect this to the idea of inner peace.
Okay.
As long as we're clinging to attachments, desires, fears, the need to control, we're going to be tossed around by life's storms.
It's like we're trying to sail with an anchor tied to the bottom of the ocean. We're not going anywhere.
Perfect analogy. Saadi is urging us to cut that anchor loose, to embrace the freedom that comes with detachment.
But doesn't true freedom also involve connection?
Yes.
Connection with others, with something larger than ourselves.
Right.
We talked about that earlier with the idea of the heart is the throne of God.
You're raising a great point. Saadi wasn't advocating for isolation. He believed true freedom is actually a prerequisite for genuine connection.
So it's not about pushing people away. It's about creating space within ourselves so we can connect in a more authentic way.
You got it. It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
If we're constantly depleted, clinging to our anxieties, we don't have much to give.
But when we cultivate that inner freedom,
Yes.
we can show up in our relationships with more presence, compassion, and love.
Beautifully said. And it's interesting, the experts highlight a story where Saadi himself grapples with this very idea.
Ooh. I love it when the wise guys struggle too.
Right.
It makes them more relatable. Tell me more.
So Saadi is surrounded by people praising him, showering him with compliments.
Sounds nice. A little ego boost, never hurt anyone.
Right. But Saadi, wise as he is, doesn't let it go to his head.
Good for him.
He says to them, "You only see my outward appearance. I know my inner flaws."
Oh, that's good. It's like those picture-perfect Instagram influencers.
Yeah.
They might look flawless online.
Right.
But we all know there's more to the story.
Exactly. And to illustrate his point, Saadi compares himself to a peacock.
Oh, peacock.
Yes. Everyone admires the peacock's beautiful feathers,
Right.
but the peacock itself is ashamed of its ugly feet.
Huh. That's so true. We tend to focus on the flashy exterior and overlook the less glamorous parts.
And the experts emphasize that Saadi is highlighting the importance of humility and self-awareness.
Okay.
It's easy to get caught up in praise,
Yeah.
but he's reminding us to stay grounded.
Right.
We're all flawed and imperfect.
So it's not about denying our accomplishments. It's about recognizing that praise is fleeting
Yes.
and our true worth isn't based on what others think.
Exactly. It's about cultivating that inner sense of self-worth that doesn't depend on external validation.
Right.
And this humility, this willingness to acknowledge our imperfections is actually a key ingredient in the recipe for freedom.
Okay. I'm following you so far. But how does humility lead to freedom?
Well, when we're attached to our ego, to the idea of being perfect or special, it creates limitations. It makes us afraid to take risks, to be vulnerable, to admit when we're wrong.
We're so busy protecting this fragile image of ourselves that we miss out on truly connecting with others or experiencing the world authentically.
Exactly. But when we embrace our imperfections, let go of the need to be right all the time, we create space for growth,
Right.
for connection, and ultimately for freedom.
It's like we're breaking free from the prison of our own ego.
That's a great way to put it. And the experts point out that this is an ongoing process.
Okay.
We don't achieve humility once and then we're done.
Right.
It's something we cultivate every single day.
So how do we stay humble in a world that's constantly telling us to be bigger, better, more impressive? Are there any practical tips Saadi offers?
He emphasizes gratitude.
Gratitude.
When we focus on what we're grateful for,
Yeah.
it shifts our attention away from ourselves,
Okay.
reminding us that we're just one small part of a much larger whole.
We're saying, hey, I'm not the center of the universe. There's so much more to be grateful for than just my own little world.
Exactly. Another way is mindfulness, paying attention to the present moment without judgment.
Instead of getting caught up in our thoughts about ourselves or achievements or shortcomings,
Yes.
we simply observe them without getting carried away.
Precisely.
Mm.
This creates a sense of space, allowing us to see ourselves more clearly and to approach the world with a sense of wonder and curiosity. It's like that inner spring we were talking about.
It's amazing how all these ideas connect from spring as renewal to freedom, detachment, humility, and embracing our imperfections.
Saadi is weaving this tapestry of wisdom, connecting seemingly disparate threads into a beautiful, intricate whole.
And it's up to us to unravel those threads to see how they apply to our own lives.
Exactly. And just when we think we've grasped the full scope of his message, he throws us a curveball.
What?
The experts we're listening to discuss a passage that completely challenges our assumptions about freedom.
Ooh, I'm sensing another cliffhanger.
Yes.
Tell me more.
I wish I could, but we've run out of time for this part of our dive. We'll have to save this final piece of wisdom for next time.
Don't worry, listeners. We'll be back soon to reveal the final piece of the puzzle. In the meantime, keep pondering Saadi's words and see what you discover on your own.
Okay, I've been waiting all week to hear this last bit of wisdom from Saadi.
Right.
You left us hanging with that mysterious passage about freedom.
I know.
What's the big reveal?
So the experts we've been listening to talk about this scene where Saadi describes this group of people and they're trying to escape a burning house.
Okay, that sounds pretty traumatic.
It is. And in their panic to escape the flames, they start grabbing whatever possessions they can carry, rugs, jewelry, gold, anything they think is valuable.
Yeah, I can just picture the chaos, the smoke, everyone just scrambling to get out.
Exactly. But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Saadi observes that some people are so weighed down by their possessions that they actually get trapped and perish in the fire.
Oh, wow. That's heartbreaking. Their attachment to their things literally costs them their lives. It's a powerful image, and the experts point out that Saadi is using it to illustrate a profound point about true freedom.
So in this case, freedom isn't about having things.
No.
It's about being unburdened by them.
Precisely. Saadi seems to be saying that our attachment to material possessions, to wealth and status, can blind us and prevent us from making wise choices.
Yeah.
It can even become a trap.
It's like that saying, sometimes you have to let go to hold on, or in this case, to survive.
Exactly. And the experts draw a fascinating connection between this idea of freedom from material possessions and the concept of spiritual liberation.
Okay. How do those two connect? It seems like a bit of a leap from a burning house to spiritual freedom.
Think of it this way, just as clinging to possessions can weigh us down and prevent us from escaping physical danger, clinging to our ego, our desires and fears can prevent us from achieving true inner freedom.
So we're carrying around this invisible baggage. Anxiety regrets the need to control.
Yes.
And it's keeping us stuck.
Exactly. Saadi suggests that true liberation, both worldly and spiritual, comes from letting go of that baggage.
Right.
From shedding the attachments that weigh us down.
That sounds incredibly challenging. How do we even begin to let go of things that feel so important, so much a part of who we are?
Saadi doesn't offer like a step-by-step guide, but he emphasizes awareness. The first step is simply noticing what we're clinging to. What are those things that are keeping us tethered to that burning house, so to speak?
So we need to pay attention to our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors.
Yes.
To see where we're getting hooked.
Exactly. Once we identify those attachments, we can start to gently loosen our grip. It's not about forcing ourselves to let go overnight. It's a gradual process of cultivating detachment.
This sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk about this idea of detachment earlier? With Saadi's poem about spring?
Remember the intoxicated wind? And how it represented the joy of connecting with beauty without clinging to it?
So it's about finding joy in the present moment without needing to possess it. Without needing things to go a certain way.
Exactly. And the experts highlight that this attitude of non-attachment is key to navigating the ups and downs of life.
Because when we're not so attached to outcomes, we're more resilient when things don't go as planned.
Precisely. That resilience, that ability to adapt and flow with life is what leads to true freedom.
It's amazing to me how Saadi's wisdom, written centuries ago, is still so relevant today.
I know, it's amazing.
We're still grappling with these same questions about freedom, meaning, and purpose.
His insights are timeless, and they offer a guide for navigating life's complexities with grace, compassion, and a deep understanding of the human heart.
Well, I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of Saadi's world, but...
Yeah, just a little bit.
We've covered so much ground, from the beauty of spring to the depths of the human heart and the importance of letting go.
It's been a fascinating journey, and the journey doesn't end here.
That's right.
We encourage you to explore Saadi's work for yourself and discover the gems of wisdom that resonate with you.
That's right. And join us next time as we delve into another fascinating source of wisdom. Until then, happy exploring.